Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. I just thought I'd pop by onto my YouTube channel again and record another video. Plus I've got another arm for my camera and I'm just testing out sort of a little bit of new equipment. And to top it all, I've actually been blitzing my craft room. Why did I decide to do it? But the lovely Rebecca posted a video of her craft room in the AALLandCreate Fanatics group, and she put some white baskets in there, and I've been looking for some white baskets that are just the right size for ages. The ones I used to get went out of stock, so I literally ordered some of those, so I've had to revamp everything. But there you go, I'm just waffling, let's carry on. So what I want to do is just go through and create another project with one of my washies. Now, yesterday we created these cards with my washi, my new washi that's being released on Create and Craft TV tomorrow, Monday the 29th of May at 6 PM on a one-day special. The lovely Abs is going to be demonstrating the washies. So we created that one yesterday. You can find that video, the one below. We also created this one. Rather chuffed with how the milled lavender goes with that beautifully. And then we created this one as well. Just lovely. I was really pleased with those. And you can actually see that one on Facebook at the moment. Right. I just want to say a lovely thank you as well for the lovely messages you've left on my previous video. They really are appreciated. I can't tell you how much. So on the video we had, I think it was Janie and, it's just remembering who's left messages, asking if I can also do a demo with the colourful washi as well. And of course, I'd love to oblige. So I'm going to be using this washi. And again, I've put the washi in here. This is Microscopic, and it's the washi hash 43. And the washis are 10 meters in length, so there's 10 meters on the roll, and before the pattern repeats it's 37.2 centimeters in length before the pattern repeats. And I just love this washi. Right, and of course Tracy I haven't got the stamps out that I'm going to use. I thought I'd got most of the things out, but I haven't. There you go, never mind. But what I've done is I've cut the piece of card, which is Pink Frog smooth card, and this is 4 inches by 8 inches. This card is, so it's 4 by 8. And I thought I'd do a card because what I want to do is incorporate a tag on there. And what I've done is I've cut a tag from a piece of mount board. Now you can cut a tag from a piece of cardboard, recycled cardboard, or you can just cut it from your normal 300 GSM card. And what I've done is I've covered the washi with, I've covered the tag with the washi. Doesn't that look lovely? But with the washi, there's lots of colours you can pick out. You can pick out a pink, maybe going into plummy colours, into purples, into turquoisey greens. So there's lots of colours you can pick out, and you could also use black and white. So that gives you inspiration on where to start already by looking at the washis. And I simply just pierced this and went round with my scissors like this. And because the washi is sticky, I can then create a neat hole just on the tag. And if the reason I created a long format is you can see it fits on there beautifully. Now what I want to do is, obviously I want to show you not just how to, I've got a piece of nail here that keeps catching, driving me mad. What I don't want to just do in a video is show you how to wrap a piece of washi around a substrate or to place it on a card, which we did on the other PCs. I showed you how to die cut. What I want you to do, I want to also show is when you've got a washi piece, how you can incorporate something else into that design. So what I'm going to do, this is going to be here on my card. So I just want to make a mark just with my pencil where that tag is on my card. And you can see on this piece, I have added my Posca paint pen first because I wanted that to dry, and then I thought, well, I'm going to decorate on this and I don't want to ruin it. So sometimes you can add this first if you wish, and then that Posca paint pen is dry and it gives me a faux black matte without adding another layer. Right, what I also did was, a lot of the time, I spend time in just testing colours and how they will work with the project. So it's nice just to test what you're working with. So I tested some re-inkers just to see if the colours would go nicely. And you see, I could see this colour I didn't want. So I was testing my pencils and my re-inkers. So what I'm going to do is, I've got my little puffer here, and then I'm going to use a little bit of re-inker. Just give those a shake. So this is Salvage Patina, and I'm just giving that a shake side to side. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to put that down neat. And as you can see, it's the tiniest, can you actually see? It's the tiniest little blob. And I'm just going to use my puffer just to add a little bit of a pattern and splatter effect to my design. So it works quite nicely, and I can see that I'm going to see that when I've got the tag. Obviously you won't see it all, but you can see some of this nice spidery detail. And you can just add a little bit more of that spidery detail. You can keep puffing that out as much as you want. Now you can see I'm using a neat colour. I will need to add a little bit of water because with the oxides that will just sit on the surface because of the concentration. So what I'm going to do then is just add, look how much I add. Wow, absolute stacks not. So then I'm just going to just add a few more. And I've got my non-stick craft sheet here, so that's fine. And you don't really need to add much. Obviously this is going to be covered up. Let's just get that up. So some of this will be covered up, but you can see it just sort of, can you see there? The pigment lies on the surface a little bit, but I want to work with the neat colours first. So I've got these colours here, and let's add a little bit more here. It's up to you. You can add a little bit of a bigger blob, but you don't want to waste that pigment. And if you notice, if you add a smaller, I'll mention when I've just, if you add a smaller blob, you will get finer sort of spidery effects. But don't sort of give up. Just make sure that what you actually do is you move some of that colour. You can lift your card up, don't be frightened to lift your card up, but you want to make sure that you just lift that spidery colour. So we're going to add one in here. So if I just add a blob And then you really don't need much at all. And you can lift that up just so you can get the spidery effect. You can use a straw with this. Don't ever use a straw when you're doing your alcohol inks. Please, please don't ever do that. But you can use a straw to blow these. And then what I'm going to do is just give this a shake. And I'm using wilted violet, mainly because, have I got shaded lilac? I don't know whether I've got shaded lilac, bear with me. Shaded lilac. Oh, and she has got shaded lilac. So I've got shaded lilac and wilted violet. So let's add a little bit of that colour. And now I can add that as well. And we'll be able to move even more because obviously we will spritz with water as well. So a little blob here. But I only made the mark so that the mark where the tag went, just so I made sure that I hit the sort of the right corners, or else we wouldn't see any of that colour. And again, you can lift that up, encourage it to go in certain directions if you wish. There you go, you can encourage that to go further up, just so that it works there. A little bit here. And you can see, obviously, because I'm working with the re-inkers, I don't have to use much of the product. There we go. There's our shaded lilac. And then let's add a little bit of the spit it out wilted violet, and you can encourage it to go in whatever direction you want. And obviously you don't quite know which bit's going to show, but in itself creating a background like this is just wonderful. Now you don't have to add the deep purple to every area of your card, not at all. And obviously the tag will cover some of those up. So what we can do, let's put the lid on the right one. Let's just clean that up a bit. And you can tell I've put the wrong lid on there because it's got purple on. So let's just give that a wipe and keep things clean. Now what I want to do is, this is just lying on the surface. So what I'm going to do is just give that a spritz of water. Just because, you know, it sort of helps with the oxidization, but then means that, you know, the colour is not just resting on the surface. Let me just... I don't want to soak the card, but then what that means is you can then add a little bit more of the puffing down on your card, so you can get more of a spidery effect because you're moving the water and the colours. So it's always worth trying different methods. Sometimes I add the water first and then put the pigment on top, but this time I've done it the other way round. And if you lift the card, you can send it moving even further. There we go. So that just gives us a lovely background. Now we're going to have to dry that because that will just sit on the surface, and that is going to sort of go here like that. So you see that you only see touches of the colour, which is perfect. You don't want it to be too overpowering. So what I'll do before I dry that is we'll just leave that on one side doing its thing. But it's always worthwhile just to do a little, you know, a little test of what you're doing. Again, this is a longer project. It's going to take longer in time to create. Right. Let's grab. So I can use one of my new florals. I'm just going to plug in my charger. So sorry if that just sort of moves a little bit. There we go. Just plugging in my charger with the video being a little bit longer. Right, let's just give my fingers a wipe. So the background is doing its thing, and what I can do is I can use one of my new florals to go with it. So I might use this middle flower. It's a generic flower, so I can use that one. There we go. And what I can do is, before I even do anything, is I can just bring the background back in. So let's bring the background back in. And what I can do is sort of try to visualize what it's going to look like. So it's this flower. Yes, that'll look quite nice. So it's just visualizing, you know, sort of what your project might look like. Move these out of the way. And then we'll place that on a acrylic block. Just grab. There we go. And I'm going to use a black ink. I've got something on there, don't know what that is. And we'll use a spare piece of card. And we'll use a black ink. So we'll use our Nocturne black ink, and it's the flower that I want, but I may use the circle, I don't know. Just depends how I feel. Now the washi tape gives me a background without me worrying too much about, you know, adding too many elements, but it's nice to add elements as well. I've got my window open because it's absolutely boiling. And there's lots of people having barbecues. Nice, beautiful flower. Stamps beautifully. Now before I colour it, I'm going to give that a dry. Right, so we've got that plugged in, and then we're just going to give this a dry. And the reason I'm giving this a dry is because I'm going to use my pencil, my coloured pencils, and if I use the pencils, what happens is sometimes you can pick up some of that black ink, and then it doesn't, you know, the pigment of the pencils takes on a duller colour because it picks some of that black up. Obviously if you're using an archival, then that isn't too bad. Right, the other thing about tidying up is remembering where you put your copier paper. There we go. Sometimes tidying up is good and sometimes it isn't. Especially if, like me, you've got wires everywhere and you're trying to find the best places to put things. So I'm just going to just give that. Now, you use whatever colouring mediums make you happy. You know, whatever sparks joy, you use those colouring mediums. Just remember, whatever colouring medium you're using, the most important thing is to use the correct card. So what I'm going to do is, if I look at the washi, I've got several colours in there I can use. Doesn't mean I have to stick to that. You can use a contrasting colour. Sorry, I need to tell you the colours. I'm going to start with the dark one first. So the first one is violet. So I'm going to start with the violet first. So we'll just add the violet colour. Just add my darkest colour. And these are my Prismacolor. This is violet and it's PC 932. So that's the violet colour. And when I'm colouring this one, I'm just using a circular motion. Sometimes the actual flowers dictate whether I use a flicking motion, or sometimes it's the shape of the flower that dictates what I'm using, or, you know, what sort of strokes I'm using. So I'm just going to go around there, just with the violet. And I'm not pressing on super hard, because if I press on too hard, there's nowhere to go then, because the card will get too shiny too soon. I'm then using, please tell me that says lilac, and it's PC 956. And what I'm going to do then is just blend the two colours with the lilac. Now the lilac is only a subtle change, but it's a change in the colour. So just blending those two colours together. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of white just on the flower, to leave a white area. The Prismacolor are nice and smooth, but obviously the card helps that as well. So at the moment I'm just laying on a very light colour. So then I'm going to, I keep forgetting to tell you the colour is lavender, which is PC 934. I just forgot to do this. With the second colour. And then going to go to the lightest colour, which is the lavender. And just blend all those colours together. Just with the lightest colour. I'm just going over with that lightest colour over the edges. And then you can add other layers of colour as well. And just layer those colours. I will cut the flower out, but I decided to colour first. So what I'm going to do now is sort of go back over with my darker colours, and I'm just going to lay down a little bit more of that pigment now. I'm still not, you know, I'm not pressing super hard, but I am adding more layer of that pigment. You can fast forward this stage if you don't want to watch the colouring stage, no problem at all. So I'm just adding layers of the pigment, and you're sort of closing up the white areas on your card, but you're not breaking it down too quickly, because if you break it down too quickly, then your card becomes shiny too soon. I'm then going to go to the second colour. So the darkest colour was the violet, 932. Then go to the second colour, which was the lilac, 956. And just add a little bit more of that colour. So I'm just now adding a little bit more pressure, just to give me that lovely blend of colour. And you just sort of see the areas of white close up before your eyes. Then go to the lightest colour and just blend that. Obviously you can spend a lot longer making sure that yours is beautifully blended. I'm just going to leave it at that. I will just add some lovely pops of white just to highlight that. Let's add some. It is important just to let the card relax a bit before you just go in and try and add too many things. You know, just give it time just to rest. So I'm just going to just add a few touches of the white, just to make the flower pop a little bit more. And there's a couple of little dots on the flower as well, so you can just echo that by just putting a few little dots on your flower, just to make that pop a little bit more. Let's grab our scissors, and you know I've not done the cutting out, so I'm cutting that out here. And I'm going to leave a little white border just to make things pop a little bit more. And whilst you're doing this, your colours that we added with the re-inkers, they are just settling into the card and doing their thing. I'm allowing them to do their thing because then I can just dry the rest, because I've given it time to at least react. So let's just cut that out. Just a little pop of white will just allow that to pop nicely against the background. go. And then obviously that flower, just straighten the stem like so. And obviously we can add this here to our project. What I can do, let's just grab my pencils. Where's the colours? I spend my life looking at colours. Let me just see. Always sort of test your colours. So that's two. So it's sort of a greeny colour in there. Yeah. So what you can do is just take your pencils and just test them. Just test what you've got in your collection. So this is light aqua PC992, and I'm just going to flick some of that aqua just through the flower. Nothing too much, just so we've got a little bit of that aqua just sort of appearing on the flower, just so that it's echoes what's in that background. So let's add a little bit there as well, just so it echoes what we've got in here. Yes, beautiful. Let's just go back to our background, and we'll give that a little dry, because what you can see is, can you see there, it's just lying on the surface. So let's give that a dry. And I have to say, these three colours, where they've sort of blended on this area here, is rather lovely. But just give that a dry. With you using the neat colour, you need to give that a dry. You can sort of, if you wish, you can still spritz with water as often as you like. I do apologise putting my hand straight across the camera. So you can just give those as much of a spritz as you want. Don't forget, you're only seeing a touch of the colour. But again, there's a card idea just with the background as well. That's just... And it takes a little bit more drying because you've put that concentration of colour on there. So let's just mop up some of the splatters. Oops. Hold the card just so that it doesn't move, Tracy. But you've got a couple of ideas then as well for creating backgrounds. Let's turn the card over so that that gets a bit flatter. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blot. I can still see it's lying on the surface. So I'm just blotting just to make sure that we get that surface colour mopped up. There we go. Let's just add that. And then where is my, is that an A6? You have to remember now whether it's A6 or whatever, but I can then show you. Oh, it's the first one. So you can see, let's bring in our washi here, just lovely. Can you see the washi? And you've got your little bits in the background, but you've got this stamp that is also echoed on the background on the washi. And this is Garden Notes, stamp set 909. So what I'm going to do is take some of this stamp, the Garden Notes, just so then it looks like it all works together seamlessly. So I'm going to use my grey ink because I've got the black on here, but I want the grey to appear in the background. So I'm going to take my Morning Mist, which is the grey, that I can't get the lid off for some reason. There you go. And just ink up a little area of the stamp. And then what you do is you ink it and then you forget where you've inked. And then just add a little bit of the stamping, which just gives a little bit of detail, beautiful detail in the background. But can you see, if I tilt it, you will see that ink is shining. We're going to need to blot that. So let's add some more of the stamping. You can add different areas just to your stamping. And then you can check each time. And it's not overpowering because you can only see parts of it. So it doesn't overpower the design, which is just brilliant. Let me just add a little bit more of the stamping here. And I love this stamp because it just works beautifully with that washi. It means I can bring it in more into my projects. So, as we know, we've got a very pigmented medium with the Oxide re-inkers that we've put on there. So you need to blot that ink before you start to dry it, because you'll end up standing there forever just trying to dry it. And if you use your copier paper just to mop up, it'll mop up some of that excess pigment from the re-inkers lying on the surface, which is also a good idea. Just give that a nice dry. Let's turn that over. There we go. And then take our copier paper and just blot again. There we go. But can you see, the only thing is there's no ink on there, it's just blotted some of the excess pigment from the re-inkers. So that blotting is just a really good idea. Right, what I'm going to do then, let's see if I can just add a little bit of a black edge just to my tag, which has got, let's just cut that little bit off. There we go. Move that out of the way. Just adding a little bit of a black edge. Not much of a black edge, but a little bit of a black edge just to get rid of, because obviously I've used mount board, so I don't want that mount board to be too prominent on the card. You know, I don't want that to be the first thing that you see. So I've just made sure that we've just added the black just to give it a professional finish. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white cotton. Let's take our white cotton and just add some of the white cotton. You could add, let's have a look what my skeleton leaves. You could add a skeleton leaf if you wish, which looks nice, but the only thing that puts me off about that on this particular project is the skeleton leaf is quite creamy rather than white, so that just puts me off a little bit. Right. So I'm just going to spread out this cotton like so. There we go. Just to add a little bit of lightness and brightness to that. So I'm then going to just cut in to the flower, just to make it look a little bit different. Just makes it look a little tad different. Let's pinch that a little bit. There we go, just so it's got a little bit more life. And then I'm going to add adhesive just to the stem. There we go. And then we'll add my pin flare glue to give the dimension. You can use your hot glue, your ultra thick gel medium, your 3D foam, whichever you want. So just add that here, like so. Then got to find me a A7 stamp at some point. That'll be easy. And then going to add this here, just so that you can see. And it's coming along beautifully, absolutely beautifully. Right, so just move that. Do I want to adhere that now? Yes, I do. So we'll adhere that now. You don't have to have the flower 3D if you don't wish. I've used the mount board because it just sort of gives it a really sturdy, but you can just recycle some card. You don't have to have mount board, just recycle. Let's just move that up a bit. This is where I faff because I move it that many times. And with it being mount board, I just need to press a little bit harder just to make sure that adhesive grabs hold. I'm just going to lift up so you can see the little bits of turquoise in the flower, just so that you can see that. Let's add that down like so, and then let's put this stamp back. And I'll get my basket with the A7s in. Trying to remember which ones are in which. Right. So what I'm going to do that now is let's put that flower back. And we can just take that out of our way so we've got a little bit more space. There we go. Bring in a scrap of card. Do you know, I've just put that flower away and then I realised I need the circle. You couldn't make it up if you tried. Right. Try again. I want to use the circle. So So we want black. Where's my black on? There you go. What I tend to do is I'll pull stamps out and then I'll place things on top of my ink pads and then I wonder where they are. Hilarious. So I'm going to take that circle, just cut that out. And now the white is going to add here just to bring a little bit of calm to everything. Of course, I've got cotton, everything else. There you go. So that is going to be stuck there. So let's add this here. Of course, I always try to stick things down when I've got cotton fibres, just to make it a little bit more difficult. So make sure when you've got those cotton fibres that you've got a good adhesive that can grab hold of that and hold it in place. So just make sure you've got that. There we go. So just hold that in place. That's it. And then what I'm going to do, of course it has to be done, I'm going to use this stamp set, my little cute mouse, and I want to use one of the little, which way do I want him? No, I think I want him facing. There we go. A7 block. Add my little mouse. Like so. And what I've done is I've just dipped that into that one that I, you know, the tester piece. Right. That's good, Tracy. Let's try inking his nose and making sure that he works. There we go, that's better. We can't miss out that nose, can we? I mean, what kind of mouse is it without a nose, poor thing? Right. How big is that? I don't think that's big enough. Bear with me. Now I think this is a 1 inch. I think this is a 1 inch punch, she says confidently. Just want to see how much of the mouse. Yep. So I've got my 1 inch punch. Push it back, Tracy. Do you know, I spend more time. Why is that not going back? Oh, there you go. Good grief. Talk about taking time. So that's a 1 inch punch. It's got my little mouse on there, as you can see. Let's just give him a little bit of a blot. There we go. Move that out of the way. Make sure we've put that little mouse back. We can't lose them. They're too precious. Bit of plastic. And I bet I haven't got the stamp. I want to add a little bit of text. So these are the little baskets that Rebecca told me about. So let's go to 810, goes there. So then I just want my little background, just to add a little bit of text. You two can faff as much as me. I want my miniature stamp set. Look, it's got those hairs on that are on the washi tape. And I want to just add a little bit of this text from the miniatures 756 with the grey ink just to the background. I'm not going to press too hard. That just works beautifully. And this is why I love a variety of stamps. It just adds a little bit of text there. And obviously my little mouse, let's just, you know, yes, Tracy, you're supposed to let the ink dry. My ink isn't dry yet, so I can't add my little white touches. Let's make sure it just works on here and I'm not going mad. Yeah, it does. It's because the ink is not quite dry yet, so we can let that dry. So my little mouse is going to go here like this. As you can see, I'm now in the smallest amount of space. Ridiculous. Right. So let's add, we'll give him a little bit of dimension. Let me just try one more time. Just as the ink dries, you can then use it, but of course I'm just too impatient. Just to add the little touches to the mouse. Patience is a virtue, Tracy. Just add, make that a little bit more dimensional. Like so. You know, this is where touches, it just makes a difference. I'm pulling that back up and I'm just adding a little bit of black just around the circle, because in this case it makes a difference. Trust me, to the naked eye, that little touch of black just around the edge makes a big difference. So we've then got our washi. Let's just and it's got the word squeak and mouse. So I don't have to use whole parts of the washi if I don't want. I can just tear and I can add the washi layered over the top of others. Squeak and mouse, just so that it's added, it doesn't, you know, you can lay it over and over and over. There we go. Let's add some white splatters. You definitely want some on that flower. There we go. Just so that you can, I can see a little bit of, do you know, talk about pernickety, I can see a little bit of black because the re-inkers have gone over the edge. It looks like I haven't done the edge when I have, and that's just me being a little bit pernickety. Right, we just pick that up which is easier said than done, just so that you can see that. And I'm going to get a cleanish, there you go, clean piece of card, and we're going to add this to our card mat that is 4.5 by 8.5 inch card blank, and we're going to add that to the card blank. Let's add that to the card blank. I will move it away from the white card so you can actually see, because white on white doesn't really work. Just while I'm working and pressing, I just want to make sure I'm working on a clean surface. There we go. Let's press that down. Just make sure it's stuck down. Just spend a few minutes just pressing the corners of your card down. And my fingers are far from clean. And I'm then just going to get let's move that away now. Just going to get my index clip, just to add an index clip. There we go. Got a little bit of washi left that's still stuck on my, let me just add that, like so. But even this, where I've just, you know, I've got this background here, you know, that where I was testing my colours, but even just when you add little scraps of washi, it just works. You can even do, you know, where it's organic and very random, and just do that. Let's lift this card up, and there you can see our card is finished. Just so you can see that. Now, what you can do, just to add another pop of white, which is pushing it a little bit, really you should do this when this and these aren't stuck on here. But I'm going to do it anyway. Where's my... So you can leave it like that. And I'm going to put a blob of white and just add a little touch of white, just so it goes over on my card, so the card looks like it's part of it. So this is just Liquitex white acrylic ink, and I'm just, you can use your Posca pen if you wish, and just to reactivate, just so that I can get a little bit of that colour. You're hardly using anything, but I love pops of white. So I will continue to add some touches of white just to my card, just to make that pop a little bit more. And what I'll do is I'll keep layering, and I'll let it dry within the layers, and just add a little bit more. You can use your Posca pen if you wish. If you want to get your Posca pen pumped onto your card, you can do the same, as long as you get enough of the paint moving. You can do exactly the same. There we go. And I will continue just to add those touches of white just to make it pop a little bit more. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the inspiration, just so that you can see. And that white, when it's dried, definitely adds. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to your interpretation, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the washes used in the previous video and today's video as well. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.